Hey, greetings to you. This is your brother Bedford. About to get it in. Just wanted to come to you real quick. I'll try to make this video real short. Yesterday I posted some words about the Titanic. And there were some words that were used to describe this enormous ship, right? It was unsinkable. It was indestructible. And that was the mindset, that was the thinking of those during that time, during the construction, and also as they were preparing to set sail. And in setting sail, they did some things that they shouldn't have done in terms of not taking the necessary precautions because they didn't want it to look gaudy, so they didn't have enough lifeboats to make sure that everyone would have space to get off of the boat in the event something happened again. They thought that they were indestructible, the boat was unsinkable. They boasted about the opulence, the staircases, all of the amenities of how beautiful it was. And yet it was on the 4th day of their maiden voyage of striking an iceberg. After 6 warnings, I want you to think about that. So they received warnings from other ships that there were icebergs in the water that could possibly pose some danger. And the reporting is that the captain said full speed ahead. Now there are 2 theories behind that. One said that he was, of course, going in the line of the arrogance, is that they wanted to make sure that or he wanted to arrive a day earlier. He wanted to break records. So full speed ahead. They say he adjusted the course a little bit, went a little bit further south, but still kept going. Others say that there was already a fire in the boiler room, actually throughout the entire journey. But they took this journey, even though they already had a fire in the boiler room, but they just knew that they could put this fire out or contain it all the way until they reached New York. So either way is wrong. A fire already there, but you're just ignoring the fire. Or you're so arrogant that you ignore all of the signs, all of the warning signs, even when those who have gone before you tell you that's not a good thing to do. Just ignore those warning signs. So either way, captain made a bad decision, right? It wasn't until the lookouts saw the iceberg they tried to turn, and according to certain reports that it just did some small damage, right? Cut in some areas that they thought that it couldn't cut, but water started seeping into the compartments. They thought they had enough compartments to contain water, so that it's, again, that was the theory, it's unsinkable because we can hold this much water. Here's something that interesting that really stuck out to me as I studied this again, is that even though they struck the iceberg, they made the turn, the reports are that the passengers didn't know that the ship was sinking. You know, they didn't feel it. Again, it was so enormous. Again, they were filled with so much confidence. The music was playing, they were partying, that they didn't think that the ship could sink, and they just ignored it. And it wasn't until the captain, and I believe the designer of the ship, and a few others went down to examine the damage, and then they noticed that the ship was taking on water, and too much water, and that eventually it would sink. Of course, they put out the flares. They started doing radio messaging to all of the other ships, or those ships that were close by, to try to get rescues going on, shooting up flares. And even at that time, according to the reports, the passengers still didn't know that the Titanic was sinking. It wasn't until they started making moves to get on the lifeboats that people started realizing that this was a reality. And even with that, without enough lifeboats, that's the first thing. They didn't have enough lifeboats. But then even when they were loading people on the lifeboats, where they could maximize the capacity to, I believe it was up to 65 people, I believe they said the very first lifeboat that went in the water only had 24 people on it. So they still did not get enough people on the lifeboats. So I say all that to say, one, it's an interesting tale to study the Titanic, but the parallels of what I see happening in this economy, within this country, is that I don't believe that this country has enough lifeboats. I don't believe enough people think that it's sinking. I think a lot of people think that we can take on more and more water and nothing will happen to this country. I think that's a big mistake. So come Monday, that's what we're talking about. How do we build more lifeboats to help us survive what could possibly be? Now, if I'm wrong, and if this is wrong, that's great, right? But there's nothing wrong with preparing a lifeboat so that you can save yourself and your family and prepare for future generations. I know that's where I am, and we already know we got a captain, several captains that are in charge of certain municipalities or states and even the country. We're saying, hey, full speed ahead. We don't want to be not prepared. So come Monday, 8 o'clock, July 13th, I believe there's 41, 42 spots left. So we're over half of the people who've claimed the spots. Just say invite me. I'll make sure that you get the link so that you can go ahead and secure one of the spots. And that's what we're going to talk about, really this new approach to building business in the future that will help secure you. It's like building your own lifeboat, where you don't need to build the Titanic, you need a lifeboat. So that's what we're going to be talking about Monday, July 13th, 8 o'clock. Just say invite me and I'll get that to you. I'm going to go ahead and get it in. Just wanted to put that out again. Sometimes the text doesn't get out to the people, so we said let's just shoot a quick video with that story. You can go and read the text if you'd like. But study the Titanic. I think it's a great study, again, about mindsets and how people perceive themselves to be unsinkable, invincible, all of those things, and how that parallels to what's happening with today. So this is your brother, about to get it in. Talk to you soon. Take care.